This is Eating Crow with Pete Durand.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Eating Crow podcast. I am joined today by Maurice Philogene. Maurice, welcome to the program.
I'm happy to be here, brother. Thanks for having me.
I was telling Maurice as we were prepping before the call, I normally, when I do my research and get ready for a call, it becomes obvious kind of the 3 or 4 places I can go. But with Maurice, I could probably have 20 different podcast episodes and they'd all be very different. But, you know, you've done so much in your personal life and your professional life. You've had goodness, you've had 5 different careers. That would be filming for most people just to do one of those, right?
Yeah.
As a police
Yeah.
officer, in the military as a special agent, I think I teased you before, you're the real Jack Reacher, right? I mean, just a lot better looking.
No doubt. No doubt.
And then you've built this side career in real estate, in philanthropy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
giving back that has allowed you to achieve incredible financial freedom. And what strikes me about your content is while you've done that, you don't post pictures of wealth. You don't post pictures of financial success. You talk about freedom, but it's tied to this incredible rooted basis in service, which
I didn't think about it like that, man. But
yeah,
thank you for saying that. Yeah. I don't really think about it much.
I've done 80 episodes and only 2. As soon as I started recording, I thought, man, I wish this was over already. And both those guests were selling something and they were
Yeah.
using it as a platform, and which is great. That's fine. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I meant that. When I'm drawn to your content because it's extremely authentic, when you post images or videos or the fact that you're overseas and in one of the countries you travel, which allows you to work from there, it's because, again, it's not boastful. It's just very unique. It's a very delicate, difficult line to walk, and you walk it.
Brother, thank you. Thank you for that. And I wouldn't know how to post otherwise because that's just I think what we post and our external world is just a reflection of who we are internally.
I would love to think so.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. At least for me, I think it is,
Yeah.
but I know where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
and that's why I wanted you on the program, because I believe it is for you as well. A lot of people, it's not. Their social presence is a manifestation, or it's what they want to be, or they want people to think
Yeah.
that's who they really are, and it's not. So I'm gonna jump right in and try to figure out how this all got started. So tell me about growing up. I mean, what is it about your early family life, your parents, siblings, anything along those lines that sparked this 2-pronged approach in life? Where I want to serve,
Yeah.
but I recognize, because there's not a lot of people that go into public service or the military
Mhm.
that have the forethought to use what is a very low income role, relatively speaking, and the ability to create wealth. So where did you get this example? What inspired you?
First of all, service. I think I had a good family. We weren't poor, but we were broke, but we weren't poor. I had a solid. My mom and dad are educators, Haitian immigrant parents. Had a good brother. Have a good brother. We were always together. We were always solid. So I think I had good fundamentals there. And my father is a 35-year high school principal. I think I actually posted about him this morning. He retired at 63. My mama was a 22-year guidance counselor. So I had examples, but I needed money to go to school. So I got an ROTC scholarship. I somehow made it into UVA, University of Virginia. It led me down this military path. And again, it wasn't because I wanted to be in the military. I needed a way to pay for school. And back then, so this is 1993. Back then, there was full scholarships for minorities and engineers, and I was both. So they hooked me up. And the way it all manifested was I graduated from UVA with a degree in mechanical engineering after playing football and doing ROTC. But the year that I came out in 97, the Air Force had too many officers graduating nationwide, so they gave us the option of going Guard Reserve. I took the Guard option, ended up being a military police officer, military police commander. So that kind of started service. And then what started the rest of the stuff you're talking about, what I just articulate as my deep need, it's not even a desire, it's a deep need to be plugged into planet and Earth as we are intended as humans, was because I went on a trip when I was 15 years old to France. My father sent me on a trip with the exchange student that had stayed with me the previous summer.
Okay.
So 30 days in an old Range Rover driving around France. And for an inner city kid, changed everything about me. Like I felt culture. I felt French food. I felt a French funeral. I felt what it was like at a French wedding. I felt what it was like to date a foreign girl. Like you don't, when you grow up, all you know is your city block.
Yeah.
So it fundamentally changed me, man, and I knew that I wanted to feel like that more.
Mhm.
And then the other instance where I got lucky was I just happened to find financial personal development by reading Personal Finance for Dummies. It set me on this track for investing in real estate. And in my mind, real estate was a way to get passive income. Passive income was a way to get time freedom. Time freedom was a way for me to be 15 again and experience life like that. So literally between age 15 and age 21, all those things happened and it put me on this trajectory that has been crazy.
Wow, we could end the podcast right now because that was the biggest question I had, and you articulated it in 2 minutes.
It was a tough
Well,
one. It was,
I knew there had to be something, right? And I think
yeah.
there's a first of all, there's several things that I'm drawn to in your response. Number one,
Yeah.
not a lot of 15 to 20-year-olds would be able to receive that level of information and process it, right? By the way, especially today, America wants them already to do X, right? They're programmed. You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
college. That's what you're doing, right? You got to get this degree. And I did this. It's funny. I did a post yesterday. I got back from New York this past weekend. My youngest son is going to begin work
Mm.
for at Ernst& Young in the city.
Oh,
And
right
we
on.
were up there trying to find a place for him. He played soccer in college. All my kids played sports in college. And that's a debate whether or not we would have sent him to school.
Hmm.
If they weren't playing sports,
Hmm.
Duke, NC State, and Elon. And I know and we lived in Charlottesville, by the way, in Virginia, one
Oh,
of my
right on.
favorite places
Okay.
to live. But, the post was about how my kids have more passport stamps than most adults.
Yeah.
And through school, through
Yeah.
soccer,
Yeah.
through work, they've
Yeah.
had the privilege of traveling. And the words I used is they were very willing to observe,
Hmm.
respect, and then engage in other cultures.
And I got it
Yeah.
early, and I'm grateful to my father for doing that. And it has sent me on this 98 countries, over 350 time journey. And it wasn't because I wanted to see the whole planet. It was because I got enamored of culture. When I used to go to Brazil in my early 20s, I saw people who were making $100 a month, but they were
Yeah.
happy and they would go to churrascos every Friday and Saturday. They would go to work during the week to make money so they could churrasco or barbecue on the weekends to be with family and
Yeah.
friends. And it really stuck with me. It resonated with me. So much so, Pete, when I did go on that trip when I was 15, I wrote a journal.
Hmm.
I don't know why I did that, but I wrote a journal. I've never written a journal ever
Okay.
since. And I found it, I scanned it, and the things that 15-year-old me was saying was pretty profound. It does show me why I've had this trajectory of I believe that the world has so much to offer. I consider myself a global citizen. Every time we travel somewhere, every time we immerse in culture, think about it. We are in a place where the socioeconomic issues are different.
Very.
I'm not talking about Trump,
Right.
Biden, Social Security. No, we're talking about other things. So your brain goes back to the beginner's mindset. Everybody thinks I'm traveling the world the way that I do to see the whole world. It's not that. Is I want the constant
Yeah.
learning. And you feel good that way. But yeah, for some reason I had the capacity to absorb stuff like that back in the day and it has shaped me.
Well, that you bring up something that's in your profile, which is unsettled. And
I've been very unsettled for a
I
long
pay
time.
attention to
Yeah.
that. I think that's where, and I actually referenced that my kids are willing to have this little bit of tension
Yeah.
when they're boarding a plane to a new place, and it's anticipation. It's the fact that they have to respect that they're in a land that they don't necessarily belong. And
Yeah.
if you approach it that way, very often you'll be treated appropriately. You approach it with
Absolutely.
humility and discovery and interest and curiosity.
Yeah, man.
That my son was very blessed to go to Dubai during the World's Fair a couple years ago.
Oh man.
So
Okay.
he got to
Okay.
experience all the countries that were there and engage with all these different kids from different countries.
Mm.
And like you, he was fascinated by what they thought was important. What they would,
Yeah, you just want to
yeah,
listen.
exactly. What do they do on weekends? What do they do to find joy and peace? And it's very different than what we consider to find joy and peace. We're very focused on making money and working here in this country. Um,
We are, yeah.
and there are more people out there like you who are saying there's a better way to create financial freedom, but it takes discipline that a lot of people don't want to have. It takes delayed gratification. By the way, it takes some hard work.
Yes, it does. Period.
Mhm.
I'm gonna protect people for a second though.
Sure.
I'm gonna I am with this statement, I am wrapping my hands around the American culture and saying I get it. 20, 30 years formal education told us what to be, where to go, what success looks like. Valedictorian, AP classes, Yale University, Harvard. Like we we've had this thing drilled into us about competing with each other where Competition's fine, but in actuality, in real life, we collaborate, we create. With the other thing is mainstream pushes consumption.
Right.
Buy this car, get this suit. Now, even when you go into corporate, same thing with me, right? Oh, what's the next suit you're gonna have?
Right.
Every time you have a paycheck, you're spending it on something, which all it does is exacerbates the cycle of you having to go to work to pay for something, to buy something. Now you got to go back to work to pay it, to buy it again. Now you got to go back to work. Our society has so much of it
Yeah.
that I am protective of American people who are so deep, they don't realize how deep they are into it. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. But once you have a feeling of something,
Mhm.
that something is off,
Yeah.
man, if you don't act on it, you are accepting of status quo. You are saying that, hey, I am going to abide by this definition of success, which is me looking good or having the third car payment, and I just never wanted that. And I felt it in my early 20s relative to the real estate stuff. And I still drive a '05 Infinity that's probably need to be changed at some point here. But I never really cared about that stuff. I never cared about other people's definition of success. But there's so much information pushed that way to all of us. It's why I am proud to post the way that I do, because I don't care. And I want to wake people up. People are like chasing titles at work, thinking it's going to be the end all be all. And they're going to wake up at age 55 and be like, oh shit, I missed the whole ride.
Yep.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But once you see it, you got to act on it.
Well, there's a lot there again. Allow media to dictate your feelings. That's when you get
Yep.
trapped, right? So you walk into a grocery store, you drive down the street, you turn on the radio, the advertising that's out there, right? You're right. It's by the way, they're very brilliant people. They've done their
Yeah.
homework. They know the psychology. They know the colors, the sounds, the noises, the images that make you want to buy something.
Of course.
And then you're right. You buy it, then you have to work to pay it off, and then you repeat that process. And until you break it,
Yes.
break the cycle. And your content is helping people break the cycle. But again, when I say it's hard, I spent 10 years in the health and fitness space, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're teaching people it's okay to be lazy and it's okay to eat poorly. Like literally, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
not your fault. There's no accountability for
Yeah.
your health.
Yep.
So, but to break the cycle, once you know it, then you have to change your behaviors. You have to change by the way, you have to change your surroundings.
Absolutely.
You got to change the people you socialize
Absolutely.
with. You've got to, and
Yep.
you've got to be less concerned about what people think about you and more about what you think about yourself.
That's the thing that I was telling you. I On my own podcast, Try Life On, I'm putting an episode out this weekend about mental diets and controlling your environment. And what I read 5 books religiously for 20 years. Same 5 books.
Okay.
And it was 2 real estate books, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning about purpose, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek for Lifestyle Design, and Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. Here was my philosophy on reading those books relative to mental diets and environment. I'm going to reread these 5 books and I'm going to do exactly what they tell me. And I'm going to be so good at these books that I can quote pages, and I can. And it's not that those books were the best 5 books in the world. It's that I'm the best at those books. So when people ask me, like, how did I do all that stuff, real estate, I was just like, I just executed the same shit over and over for 20 years. Okay, so I chose to have a mental diet related to those books.
Yep.
Nowadays, I'm on a mental diet right now. Nowadays, I know that my external world is a reflection of what I ingest. I don't watch the news.
Nope.
I don't watch negative movies.
Right.
Like I'll watch like a spy movie, not a lot of killing, but like maybe a Tom Cruise
Sure.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I personally don't watch horror movies. I don't scroll social media. I think Instagram, although I do post on Instagram from time to time, but I think it is a marketplace for what you've not done and where you've not been. If you allow all that crap into you, it fuels anxiety and it fuels not living. Now, similar, so that's mental diet. The other thing is environment. Now, I just realized this a week ago, so I don't want to act like I'm so savant and I figured this shit out. No, I figured this out a week ago. Because I've been spending so much time in the Mideast lately, and when I used to spend time in Europe and stuff, I realized 2 weeks ago, because I'm staying in coastal Lebanon a lot lately, the socioeconomic issues are different. I'm a black man who's staying in a Middle Eastern country. Unless I talk to the person, we don't have a ton in common. So I'm not ingesting anything negative. It's not like I'm in DC today. It's not like when I'm in DC where I can hear people talk about Trump getting convicted and this and that. I'm getting nothing negative in my life right now. And as a result, I'm becoming a very strong minded, even stronger minded person than I was before. So now I start to see how information that is pushed to us is killing us. Like social media, the negative parts of it is frying
Oh
people.
yeah,
It's frying.
faster than anybody
We just
knows.
have no control of our environment. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but it's really important. We're just allowing all this junk into our head and thinking that we're going to operate well, and it's not the case.
So I was smiling and laughing because I operate exactly the same way, and my
Yeah.
kids and my family know it. I don't watch horror movies. I don't watch negative content. I don't watch the news. I truly believe that your mental diet drives your well-being.
Absolutely.
100% believe. I spend an hour a day in prayer and meditation,
Come on, brother.
and that was a game changer for me because I didn't think I had the time, and I
Mm,
just replaced negative time with positive time,
mhm.
and and like all of us, you're on a journey. I'm on a journey, and I would tell you that my maturity and my ability to absorb and appreciate outside influence changed over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But and I'm
Yeah.
trying to impart that on my youngest son as he enters the world, in New York, is how to make sure that faith and a proper mental diet is just as important as a physical diet. And
Mhm.
to hear you say that is great because I don't think a lot of, well, by the way, we both know it. People don't think that way.
No,
You,
they
you
don't.
have to turn
They
off,
don't.
you have to, I dare people, delete social media off your phone.
Yeah. So it'll say it in my episode on Friday, but what I do now, first, I don't have Instagram or Facebook, but I post on LinkedIn every
Yep.
day, obviously. Then I respond to people's comments, and then I go try and find 4 or 5 other people that I can add value to or interact with comments and
Yep.
stuff, and then I delete the app off my phone.
And then you reinstall it. Interesting.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at my cell phone now. My cell phone goes into do not disturb at 9 a.m. So I've conditioned myself to not my brain is not looking for my phone ever. The only thing that will come through on my phone when it's in do not disturb from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's when my phone is in do not disturb. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Interesting.
The only thing that comes through is if my 11-year-old pings me from school or my 24-year-old who's here pings me because they have special
Yep.
settings.
Exactly.
Everybody else, yeah, wait till 5. I'm good. I want to control my day. I want to control my information. I want to control how I feel. I hit the gym this morning. I deadlifted my butt off this morning. I had a good one.
Nice.
I hit the gym this morning. I had 2 coaching calls. I'm spending a wonderful time period with you. I'm gonna eat some. I got some meat from the butcher. I got my watermelon from the store, some soda water. Just basic life, man, and keeping the negative junk away from me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally get it. And I actually thought of my post for tomorrow, and it's going to be an
Mm,
image of a young adult on their phone scrolling, and how they're just like this, and everything just disappears around them. Bus stops.
it's not technology's fault. It's on us to
It
control it.
absolutely
I mean,
is.
we need this. Like, I can run at many enterprises from this. I need
I
it.
run both my companies off this,
There you go.
and it allows me the freedom to do it from anywhere. That's why I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it also needs to be respected and maintained as much as
It does.
possible.
It does.
So,
We're lost.
but I don't think we take the time to talk to young people early enough about it
Yeah.
and say, hey, when you enter this room or we're here for an event or whatever it is, the phones go away.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're going to be okay.
I don't think they think
No,
they're going to be okay.
you watch them. Some of them get
They are going to
jittery.
be
Some of them
okay.
get jittery. Like
They
they
are. Yeah.
literally get jittery. When you were in the reserves and
Yeah.
you made the decision to become a police officer, tell me what that was like and how you balanced your growing real estate business. Because
Mhm.
when you're a cop, you're on a beat, you're on the job, you're away. How did
Yeah.
you keep all that moving?
So for clarification, let me just clarify my
Hmm.
careers. Always at Accenture. Accenture was the pillar of my professional life.
Okay.
I was hired by then Anderson Consulting in '97. We changed our name in 2001, and I retired from Accenture in 2021. So 25
Okay.
years. I was always with them,
Okay.
always. I was in the Air Force Reserve, as we talked
Yep.
about. But because I was a federal agent in the Air Force or under Department of Defense, in a way, I was always full time, fully credentialed federal agent. But Air Force and Coast Guard are the only two federal law enforcement agencies that have reservists.
Understood.
Okay. So I would get called in, like I would go do stuff all the time, just people never really knew it.
Right.
Right. When I turned 33, so that was both of those was age 21.
Okay.
When I was 33, I got back from a deployment in 2005, post 9/11, 2005. And I went back to Accenture and I was like, man, I I was just running around the world chasing fugitives and finding missing kids. And now I'm sitting in an office like trying to raise someone's revenue. Like
Didn't
it didn't feel
didn't
good.
hit the same way. Yep.
So I applied for every three-letter thing you can think of. ATF, DEA, FBI. They all said yes. And then I realized, nah, I think I just want to be a local street cop in my neighborhood. So in 2008, I ta- I created a solution for my boss to support, not a problem for her to solve at Accenture.
Mhm.
I said, I'm going to do this, Gail, and here's how it's going to improve your business, but I need help because we're going to do it at the same time.
Okay.
And she supported me, and we quietly told HR, but I ain't really telling anybody else. And in 2009, I graduated police academy in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I was a full-time police officer at night while I was full-time executive during the day. I was still a federal agent through my military service. And then I was always doing real estate on the side. So in answer to your question, it was Accenture police during the week, real estate on the weekends, 15 years straight. And then if I got deployed, everything else would stop. But it was not uncommon for me to run a robbery call at night, come back to the station or lock somebody up, come back to the station, work on real estate. Shit, there's a burglary in progress. I got to go. I just did it because I knew what my purpose was. My purpose with respect to the police department was I wanted to be loved by a community. If I'm loved by a community, that means I'm doing something good for them. And being a police officer made sense. And what I loved about it is nobody knew that I was worth X millions of dollars. Nobody knew I spoke four languages. Nobody knew I was a executive at a firm. Like it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter. But what the community got out of it was somebody who was all those things. So I had perspective. I had empathy. I could deal with white collar, blue collar, no collar. The CEO who's having a shitty day and the homeless guy who's having a mental health crisis. I loved it. I loved it. If I could still be there, I would. But that's how I. So people don't quite understand that whole dynamic.
No.
And yes, I had some tough sleep nights. What I did really well was just use my vacation strategically when I really needed to. But it was one of those things, Pete. If I didn't do it, if I didn't become a street cop, it would have been massive regret.
Interesting.
I wanted to do it. There are certain things I want to do in life. But the last thing you want to do is when you're 85 thinking about what you didn't do. Like I volunteered at a retirement home and all these amazing people like ex-CEOs and moms of 7 kids, and they don't talk about what they did. They talk about what they didn't
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. There's no question
That's
about
how
it.
it all worked. But yeah, but I was just committed to the whole thing, man. So I found a way to grow the portfolio while I was doing all this stuff. And I needed the paychecks for down payments and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think many people even realize what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? They don't. They may have an inkling, they may have a feeling, but they don't drill into it because they're
Yeah.
programmed. Right? And when you don't have a proper mental diet, you don't create the space for ideas to form.
Yeah.
And my nephew, 2 weeks ago, we were just up in Wisconsin. Just was ordained as a priest at 30 years old.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and I'd never been to an ordination. It was incredibly deep. It's 3 hours long, very thoughtful, very emotional. And he's our
Yeah.
oldest. He's the oldest of all the nieces and nephews. And he's a super incredible human being. I mean,
Okay.
this is his calling. And he was engaged to be married at one point. And I sat down with him and I said, Kevin, how does this happen? Like, how do you decide this is what you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I kind of always knew. And when they say it's a calling, it's a calling. He goes, I knew somehow for some reason that God wanted me to do this, but I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I wanted to be a dad. His dad's done very well financially, very well. And he thought I could have kids and I could be a successful business guy and I could do all those things. And my brother's an entrepreneur. He started these businesses from scratch with his own money, his own hard work. So he didn't climb the corporate ladder. He did it all on his own. And I think while he was very successful financially, without going too down the faith hole, I think he had a lot of curveballs thrown at him. Like, I'm going to give you a
Mhm,
lot of
mhm,
money, but I'm going to
mhm,
make your life hell as a result. And he
mhm.
climbed through it.
No, we need adversity.
Yeah. And he climbed through it. So my nephew saw a lot of this. And you go
Mhm,
through 6, 7 years of seminary, they call it discernment, to help you
mhm.
figure out you don't want to do this. They really want you to get done and go,
Yeah,
maybe not for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
I don't know of many people, certainly not people that have had the success you had at Accenture. You got to taste, like you said, you got to taste the what I'll call, there's a side of, by the way, one of my regrets, and I don't have many
yeah,
regrets,
yeah,
is that I didn't go down the special forces route.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just wasn't exposed to it. And now that I
yeah.
am and do a lot of work with former military and special ops guys, I love everything about their calling and their wire and their service. I don't regrets because it wasn't like I said no to it. It just wasn't something that I saw. But you had a little bit of that in the Air Force, right? And yet you still felt called to join the police force. And what I'm taking from it, you said, is you wanted to get deeply into your community.
It was the
Yeah.
community. Remember those 5
Yeah.
books? And I said one of them was Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes.
So reading that book helped me understand my 3 purposes. One is to be in love. I'm just a better
Yeah.
human when I'm romantically linked. 2 is to be loved by a community. And if I'm loved by a community, what that means is I've done good for a lot of
Yeah.
people. I have that deep-seated need of significance to community. And then my third is constant learning, hence the travel and the businesses. And I always want to try something new. But I had it, and I'm so glad that I did it because even today, I've been gone now, September 20, almost 3 years. I still have business owners that call me as if I'm still screwed because my relationships with them were so deep. They'll call me and I'll be like, all right, let me see if I still know somebody. I still know guys at my old station and stuff.
Sure.
I'll call them. But I just got to impact people. Oh, let me tell you one thing. I got to impact people's lives. So I did everything from high speed chases to being shot at to like thing. And it's not glory.
Right.
It's just part of the job. But there was one particular incident where we get a call at like 2:30 in the morning. Me and my buddy Tim are patrolling, and a father calls and says him and his wife and his son have been followed home. Okay, I don't know what the hell that is,
Right.
but let's go deal with that. So we get over there, and then we find this car. So me and Timmy pull this car over. There's 2 guns in the car and all this type of stuff. So I go up to knock on the door, and I talk to the father. It ends up that the father tapped this guy's car in DC, and the guy got pissed off and followed him home. Okay, now this guy, he's got a long shotgun and a pistol in the car. Okay, so it's very possible that we helped avert something tragic,
Sure.
right? Now check this out. About 4 weeks later, I'm at my son's school. No, not 4 weeks later. A couple months later, I'm at my son's school, and this guy runs up to me, and I don't know who he is, and he just starts crying and gave me a hug, and I'm like, "Brother, what's happening?" And it was him. I can't remember everybody I interact with on a
No.
police level because it's so many
Sure.
people. And he said, "You don't realize what you did for me and my wife and our kids that night to make us feel safe because we were petrified. You guys were there within 4 minutes. You pulled guns out of car. You locked people up. You made us safe. And I actually kind of threatened the people we locked up. I'm like, don't come back here." So,
Right.
anyways, I was just doing my job. But I changed that guy's life.
That is,
You
that's how people in this country are supposed to view their local police force.
Yeah.
That's
It's a shame we don't,
correct.
but
That's
yeah.
how they're supposed
Yeah.
to view it. And there are guys like you. And so, by the way, before my fitness company, I was the CEO of a digital video police camera company. So we put police cameras in cop cars all over the country.
Ah, okay.
Spent
Yeah.
5 or 6 years dealing every single day with police officers. And 99% of these people are public servants. They want to be there. They want to help. They want to make an impact. And just like any bell curve around any job, there's some good folks and some bad folks,
Of
right?
course.
In anything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the
Yeah,
bad
man.
folks get
All the
right
press.
because everybody
All the
wants
press.
to hang them out to dry. But interesting story: when my boy and his classmates were in Dubai, they were leaving some restaurant or bar or club, and a couple guys started giving them a hard time, and they were walking away. And I'm sure one of the guys in the group probably said something they shouldn't have said and kept it going.
Mm,
But they were smart
mm.
enough to walk away. And as they got around the corner, two local Dubai police officers pulled up, and their first reaction was to turn as quickly as possible and walk away. And these
Wow.
local officers said, "Hey, wait a minute. You don't need to be afraid. This isn't America." And
Right.
they said,
Right.
"Come over here." And they talked to him. They said, "Hey, we
Right.
saw when you left, we saw those two guys give you a hard time. And all we wanted to let you know is you're safe. And here's this card. If anything ever happens, you need help, you hit this number, and one of us will be there to help
See?
you in an instant. We're
Yeah,
here to help
man.
you." And they were like,
But that kind of thing happens all the time here
"Sure it does.
too,
Yeah.
but it won't get don't get me wrong. There's a lot of shit problems with policing,
Yeah.
but I did it for so long, and even the federal agent stuff, I did it for so long that 99.9% of what I saw and the people that I was around was the right thing.
Yeah, of course.
I saw things I didn't want to see, and I corrected people, and I was embarrassed by certain things. But that's any job. Like there are bank tellers who are idiots
Oh,
too,
I
right?
mean, like you said, any job. It
Yeah,
happens everywhere.
yeah, yeah, man. But it was an honor, actually. It was an honor to do it. I wish I could have stayed longer. Just the environment changed, and then I was like, man, 25 years of military, federal agent stuff, midnight police officer stuff. You never really got hurt seriously. I think it's time to go. I think you've actually done your part,
Yeah.
and it's time to roll out.
So as you get a 24-year-old, you've got an
Yeah,
11-year-old.
yeah.
When you look at the world that they're entering, and if you were to sit down with your 24-year-old and you had only three things you could tell them that you felt they
Hmm.
needed to know for the next 10 years, what would those three things be?
I know them precisely because I tell them all the time.
Perfect.
My boys have three responsibilities. That's it.
Okay.
One, they got to be happy.
Okay.
When I say happy, I don't need them chasing somebody else's definition of success. If you want to be a pottery artist, then let's go make some effing pottery.
Right.
Be happy.
Yep.
Two, I don't need you to be a great man. I don't need you to be Buddha or the president or Muhammad Ali, or I don't need that.
Right.
What I need you to do is to be a good man, be kind, hold the door for people. You see a kid who needs help, help them. Just if people could just be like I pattern myself a very kind person. I'm an empath
Yep.
a bit. Maybe I kind of developed it even more because I was a police officer.
Yep.
But I need my boys to be kind and good. And then the last one, they have to learn how to make money grow. I don't need my boys to go to college. It's not a requirement. Making money grow is a requirement. College is a business. It's not a guarantee.
100%.
So if I can, like my oldest, we talked about this. He's a amateur bodybuilder wanting to be a professional bodybuilder, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this? Let's reverse engineer your life. Hence my lifestyle design stuff. Let's get you on a course to store money, and we'll buy one rental property in your name or one place for you to live every 2 years for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You'll have 5 places, and by the time you hit 30, you'll be in a wonderful position. Now, all you got to do is just make enough money part time, work in Amazon, whatever it is you want. I don't need you to sit in an
Right.
office. I don't need you to go be the CEO. Nothing.
Yep.
But you have to make money grow because if you don't have economic empowerment in this country, your ability to do what you want, when you want, how you want, for the reason I told you, which is important to me, which is I want to plug into this planet as we are intended as human. I want to live. I want to smell things. I want to go places. I want to feel life.
Mhm.
And that me feeling life is not taking a train and eating Subway sandwiches every day. I need my boys to learn how to make money grow, not because I want them to be filthy rich or whatever, but because I want them to have life options.
Yeah.
And that requires financial literacy and understanding the investing world to an extent. But it's those three things. It's be happy. I was just, when I was in Lebanon, I was at dirt bike school. Man, I was yelling like a kid. I was happy.
That's awesome.
Be a good man and learn how to make money grow and then create life options for yourself, man. You don't have to follow other people's definitions.
That's kind of a mic drop. I mean, I don't have any ad there. I mean, I love the distinction between being a great man and a good man. That's
Yeah.
powerful, right? That's powerful. I've had the same conversation. I've actually mentioned in a podcast. If my kids
Mm.
didn't play sports and get scholarships, I would have sat down with them and said, "Hey, what do you want to do? You don't have
Yeah.
to figure it out right now. You can change every
Yeah.
I don't care if you change
Yeah.
every 30 seconds, but we would have had the same thing. I said, let's take what we would pay in state tuition for college and let's buy a rental property. And maybe you can live on one side of it. And then a year
Yeah.
later, take that next year's tuition, buy another one. 4 years later, you've got 4 properties, probably $1 million in real estate, cash flowing, positive equity, and the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
How many college kids can
Yeah.
graduate and say that? None.
None.
And I
And you can be good to the residents.
treat
You can keep the rent.
treat them well.
People think that, no, you're taking advantage. No, you can provide amazing housing and not gouge people and do good stuff.
All sort.
And
You can be the landlord you'd want to be renting from. And I said same thing. Then
yeah,
take 100% commission sales job, learn a trade, take an online class, work part, whatever it is you need to do, but build that fund. And if you do that in your early 20s, through your and when you hit 30, then you can do all sorts of things. I wrote down ride the train, eat a sub sandwich, right? That's what when I was in New York trying to find a place for my son, and my son's got a good job. He's well paid. He's on a good path. He's gonna
yeah,
and he knows what he wants to do. I mean, it can change, but he knows what he wants to do. He wants to learn for the first 3 to 4
yeah,
years,
yeah.
build his network, build some really good sound initial investment advice and put some money away and then maybe move into real estate. He's got a plan. Who knows if he'll follow it? But I
Mm.
watched 80% of the other people that were around me in this city just getting by.
In the glorious word that scarcity is. There, what did I think I made a post on this where I was like, where does $100,000, how does $100,000 behave in the top 10 most expensive cities? I think New York was number one, or San Francisco was number
Sure.
one. It was like $37,000. Now, I'm not saying you can't live in New York. There's 9 million people in New York City, so people are living in New
Right.
York. But we are making a conscious decision to live certain ways that make no
Oh,
sense,
no sense whatsoever.
whatsoever.
Yeah. And we had to talk about that. I was like, look, buddy, you are going to have to be so disciplined investing your money at this early stage because
Yeah,
if you were not living there making the same income, you'd have a whole lot of different options.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
his sister lived there with her husband for 4 or 5 years. He loves for him, he's going to be unsettled for 4 years. He goes, I want to go here. And because he's traveled, he just got back from Prague. He's been everywhere and he wants to absorb this as much as possible. I said, that's great. And if you chalk this up as part of the process and recognize the trade offs, it's fine. But a lot of people don't. They just think they need to be there and they don't know why.
That's it. Yeah, yeah,
When you
man.
think about by the way, how old are you, Maurice? Oh, you're young. You're young.
I feel young too. I feel like 32, but I'm a solid 48, man, and happy where I am in life.
Well, not many 48-year-olds have the financial freedom, right? And by the way, I know a lot of people that have achieved financial success, but feel empty, right?
Hmm.
You've checked a lot of boxes. You've got a long ways to go. 10 years from now, you look back. What would be a successful 10-year period for you? What would it look like?
I'll tell you. You ready? I'm shutting it all down.
Got it.
Listen, I have some mentors. Who are late 60s, mid 60s. Now I'm talking people who've done not just financially successful, 8, 9. One guy's a 9-figure guy,
Okay.
but also I don't care about money. I care about money, but that's not my definition.
Sure.
But also someone who I consider highly successful because of how many people she has impacted from a philanthropy perspective,
Okay.
not money related. They both have told me the same thing, which is they got out 10, 15 years too late.
Mm.
So here's my thing. Right now for Quattro Capital, I'm very proud of it that me and my partner started 4 years ago. We have roughly 100 million, maybe 110, 20 million of investor money at the moment. Yeah, I'm not taking any additional investor money on a personal level.
Right.
On a personal level. Like Quattro might do it, but Maurice is not signing papers for any money anymore.
Sure.
Because I'm very committed to the people that invested with me, for one.
Mhm.
And two, my philosophy is now I'm 48 years old. I have commanded military units. I've been a good old regular old street cop dude. I've briefed CEOs. I've briefed 4-star general. Like I've done it all. And what makes me happy nowadays
Mhm.
is my 3-hour Mediterranean dinners. So I don't want to, and I'm not so busy nowadays, but I don't want to be responsible for anything other than plugging into the planet and maybe doing an occasional deal on something because I'm helping somebody somewhere. Now, so my one of my business partners asked me, is like, "Man, why don't you like keep going?" I said, "Brother, if I double my net worth in the next 4 years, I ain't gonna be doubly happy. It doesn't work that way."
Yep.
So what you're doing is you're taking a chunk of the average 28,000 days in a lifetime, if because 80 years old is the average lifetime on this planet. And I'm 48, which means I have 11,315 left or less. So you're saying I'm going to take 1,100 of those and work on doubling my net worth. That's 10% of what I may or may not have left. You see what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
By the way, I'm in the same camp. I just had coffee with a newly retired CEO of a healthcare system,
Yeah.
and she's not sure she can walk away. And believe me, they don't need the money.
Yeah, yeah. She's
So
yeah.
they're doing well.
They're doing fine. Yeah.
And I've had a lot of my close friends retire, and they were really nervous about it. I said, "Look, for me, by the way, I'd retire tomorrow. By the way, I love what I'm doing right now, so I don't feel like I'm not enjoying my life and doing. And I'm in a different phase now. I'm a grandfather. I got another grandchild
Oh,
on the way.
damn, you're a
Yeah.
grandfather. Wow.
By the way,
I'm
that's
lucky
when life
brother.
gets really fun, Maurice. When you got little grandbabies running around.
Yeah, it better not be for at least
I
6
was gonna
years.
say you got some time. Yeah, my
Yeah.
daughter's 30. Her son just was 2, and they just found out they're having a daughter, so they're excited.
Oh, God bless,
Yeah,
man.
it's as cool as people say it is. It's awesome. I'm very fulfilled as a husband and a father, and blessed. The way I describe retirement is, I will be busy, but I will not have to be anywhere.
That's it. It's choice.
Right? I can say, nope, not going to be there today. And I can say, I'm going to go spend the week with my grandchildren. I'm going to go help my oldest son remodel his bathroom. I'm going to go,
That's it.
and like you said, I'm going to go do a 3-hour dinner in Italy.
Yeah. And I will add to your awesome description. It's just that I don't want outside influence
Yeah,
anymore.
agreed.
I don't want some person to be able to call and say, you need to do blank. Now, that doesn't mean I won't be busy like you. I might be working on a
Yeah.
project or whatever. But man, when does this constant, insatiable thing for growth stop? Like, when are you going to have the 3-hour dinner and have the 7 bottles of wine from different countries on the table and talk to people about it and learn the nuances of it and shit? That is okay. So I'll say this: I talk about the Mediterranean a
Mhm.
lot when I post and
Yeah.
stuff, but the reason I talk about it so much is because it has slowed me down. It has really adapted my mindset to what slow life is about.
Oh,
It's relationships, it's experiences, and
all the
we're
above.
just running.
All the above. I remember doing a business in Spain 12 years ago, and I was the CEO of this digital video company. We were doing a lot of work in Europe. I did 5 countries in 5 days. That's not the way to do Europe. Right?
Oof.
I was working. I wasn't vacationing.
Yeah, yeah, I get
And
it.
I was at a 3-hour Spanish lunch, and I looked at my watch, and the guy I was with was offended, and he should have been, but I had to make a flight. He's, "That's not what we do. We're in our second bottle of wine. We're talking." And
When are we gonna enjoy?
so we were my youngest son, both my boys were smart and roomed with all the international players on their teams. And the oldest one said to the youngest one, "Room with the international guys. Get to know their culture, get to know their families. Have a place to
Yes.
rest your head when you
Smart.
travel."
Smart.
And
Mhm.
so those kids stayed with us during the holidays. Their families came over, they stayed with us. And one of them is from Stockholm, Sweden, and his dad is a famous restaurateur and a chef and a sommelier and a world expert in
Mm.
gin. And
Mhm.
several
Mhm.
times when they would come, we cooked for 6 hours
Oh my god,
for
that's the
20,
best.
25
That's the
people.
best.
And he talked about the wine that he brought to cook with and why we were drinking this wine while we were cooking. And we made 6-course meals. And then we ate for 3 hours. And then we did dishes for 2 hours. And all the boys came. And during their graduation party 2 weeks ago, we prepped scratch paella for 6 hours the day before. And then I cooked it on a skillet at a VRBO for 3 hours for everyone that was there.
Wow.
And to me, I will talk about that the rest of my life, because that's how you connect with people.
That's it.
And he goes, "I'm not a world famous chef." He goes, "But I've just learned the power of food and being together as family." And they're a wonder. We will go visit them. They will come visit us. We will be friends with these families for the rest of our
Yep.
lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And that's what I mean by connecting to the planet.
Plugging.
It's that plugging in. It's that essence. It's that feeling. It's that like that trip at age 15. The dude I went around with, his name is Matthew. We're still friends to this day. So I'm on my way to his crib. Him and Eliza are gonna have their 25th
amazing.
wedding anniversary, and we still kick it. Like our kids know each other.
Are they in France?
They live in Barcelona,
Oh,
outside Barcelona.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway, this world is so good, man, and I love the States, and
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I think this is the land of opportunity. It's cream and honey in this statement, but sometimes we do kind of get skewed towards live to work versus work to live. So we just gotta be careful about that.
We do. And on that, what a way to end it is the fact that you have connected with these people still at age 15, and here you are going to their wedding
Oh
anniversary.
yeah, man,
That's awesome.
we're good.
Maurice, it's again, I appreciate what you're putting out there because I think it's authentic. And you're one of the few, really one of the few people I think that puts authentic content out there. And when I share this podcast, here's what's great. It's
Yeah.
just as authentic as it appears.
What's authentic?
You are just as authentic as your content appears.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean,
I appreciate
deeply. It's for as much success as you've achieved. You're one of the most grounded people I've had in the show, and I'm just very grateful you joined us.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. And I'm grateful that someone like you would listen. And I'm also like, I'm very enamored of people who will take the time to put out platforms like this to teach people stuff because we don't have to. I know that some people have agendas. I get that. But time is very precious. Time is super precious, man.
It is.
So I'm glad you put it on, man. And thank you for having me. And I think I postponed this a couple times, maybe because of my travels or
Well, I
whatever.
think we both did, but now we're here.
I think we made it eventually.
I want to stay in touch. I appreciate it. I will reach out when we put this thing out there, and I'm going to make sure all my friends listen to it because I just think it's been a wonderful episode. And good luck to you on your travels. And by the way, thank you for your service.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Maurice. Really appreciate
All
it.
right, man. Take care.
Thanks for checking out Eating Crow. Like and subscribe so you never miss a video.